Hi. Okay, so this is my very first podcast that will actually be correctly recorded with my very good friend, Warren Cleary. So this is Life Possible with a Disability, and I'm changing from a blog format to a podcasting format. We're going to have video, we're going to have audio on any place you can find podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, all that kind of fun stuff. So I will disclose that Warren is one of the nicest people in the world because God bless his soul. I have made lots of mistakes because I don't know what I'm doing really. So he has now, I believe we're on the number 4, could be 5. Who's counting?
Fourth time recording. I think it's getting better and better and better.
Yes. So, this is why you start with your friends or you'll never launch your podcast because people will be like, sorry, lady, you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. So anyway, we have the reason I wanted to start with this one particularly is because Warren and I have been coworkers for several years now, but we did a really, really cool thing together. Now, Warren is a specialty account manager with New Motion. And I forget, you've changed cities like 3 times. Where are you right now?
I was in Chattanooga, Knoxville, and Huntsville. That was one territory. Now I'm in Raleigh,
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Right, which I love to go visit. I still haven't been to North Carolina, so which is kind of surprising. So I will let Warren tell his story and then kind of give you guys you'll understand the title, Jumping Out of Your Comfort Zone, a little bit better after Warren tells a bit of our story. So take it away.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks, everybody. Glad to be here again or for the first time, depending on how you look at it. My name is Warren Cleary. I'm a specialty account manager in Raleigh, North Carolina for New Motion. I am a L1 paraplegic with partial preservation, so I can move my legs a little bit. I ambulate pretty well. I still use a wheelchair for everyday living. I was injured 10 years ago next month as a member of the U.S. parachute team. I was doing a regular routine jump, something I've done thousands of times, and I hit something hard in the landing area, and I knew I hurt myself, but I didn't think I was injured. Got up, brushed off the dust, and went to dinner. Next day, first jump, first landing. We were doing accuracy, so you try to stick the landing like a gymnast kind of. And I went feet to butt, and my L1 vertebrae just burst inside of me. I knew something was very wrong. I didn't know what, but I knew I was really injured. Woke up a couple days later in the ICU, and luckily had a fantastic surgery not too long after the initial impact, which is why I've had such a tremendous recovery, I believe. Mm-hmm. After a couple weeks in the ICU, I went to the Shepherd Center in Atlanta, Georgia, because that's where I'm from, and did inpatient rehab for 30 days, did outpatient rehab, and then I did Beyond Therapy, which is kind of, out-of-pocket therapy.
Mm-hmm. You were really lucky, I have to say, because, not everybody has a Shepherd in their backyard.
I know. Well, I think this happened in Longmont, Colorado. So originally, I think they wanted to send me to Craig, but we...
Either way, those are 2 of the best.
Begged, borrowed, and stealed to go back to Atlanta. And so I did Beyond Therapy for about 18 months, maybe 2 years, somewhere in there. And during that whole experience, you have all these doctors and nurses and therapists coming into you and trying to explain to you what life may look like post-injury. And it just didn't have a whole lot of value because I was looking around the room going, none of you have been through this. Mm-hmm. How are you going to tell me, what's next? And that's when I met someone named Pete Anziano. He, at the time, was a peer mentor for the Shepherd Center peer support department. He's now their director, but at the time he was just a peer mentor, and he took me upstairs to a lounge that had some couches and stuff, and he jumped out of his wheelchair and he took his chair apart and showed me how he would put it in his car, which was like a BMW race car. And I was like, what? You don't have a van? Like, this is crazy. And just from that moment on, I knew that I had to latch on to him and people like him if I was going to figure this out.
Yeah.
And it didn't take long for me to start volunteering for the peer mentoring program. And then I eventually got certified through Christopher and Dana Reeves Foundation, and which that led to a part-time position at Shepherd, which led to a full-time position at Shepherd. And for several years, I worked as a media specialist and a peer mentor and a liaison for all things disability at Shepherd Center. And I loved it. I kind of looked at it like, okay, this is a situation no one ever asks for. But if I wanted to learn something, there's kind of two schools of thought. Like if I wanted to learn Spanish, I could, take a class every week or every night. And it would take a while. I could move to Spain and I'd probably pick it up pretty quickly. And that was kind of my attitude about being so close to Shepherd and volunteering and working there and learning everything I could about this new lifestyle and learning about disabilities. And I really enjoyed it. But after a couple of years, I kind of had this epiphany where I was teaching people to get back to their lives. And I really hadn't gotten back to mine. I mean,
you stayed in
Shepherd,
the rehab bubble.
Yeah, I was just in this safe little bubble full of wheelchair users.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still got out. I still traveled. I still did things. I got a pilot's license through connections at Shepherd. I went to a program called Able Flight at Purdue University, and I got a pilot's license, something I've always wanted to do. I relearned to snow ski. I relearned to scuba dive. I relearned almost every activity I used to do. I found a way to do again, but I still had never really left. So my girlfriend at the time, who's my now wife, she was also an employee at Shepherd Center. She's a physical therapist. She wasn't my physical therapist.
Although
I always have to clarify that.
But you say that because we've done this 4 times. But I know people that married their therapists.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
What's that syndrome called? Nightingale syndrome? Is that where you fall in love with your caregiver?
Yeah, therapist. Yeah.
Well, she was a therapist on the adolescent team, and that's a lot of the young men that I mentored were on the adolescent patient wing. And so we were constantly seeing each other, which led to flirting, which led to dating, which one day we just decided, let's go do something new. And we bought a motorhome and we headed out west with no real plan. She was going to do travel physical therapy wherever we landed, and everywhere I landed, I kind of, I was pursuing flying. I was doing more flight lessons, getting my instrument rating, not really sure the direction I wanted to take. And we ended up in Bend, Oregon, and a great adaptive community there. I really, really did a lot of skiing and really got back to a level that I associate with pre-injury. Like I was doing black diamonds again and moguls and jumps and jumping off of cliffs.
I don't know why that doesn't surprise me.
Just having a great time. And through all these connections out there, I started working for a not-for-profit called Disability Inc. And what they do is job coaching and job placement for people with cognitive and physical disabilities. So through all these experiences, and connecting with different people, all these different opportunities came about. And my ATP in Bend, Oregon, his name's David Taylor. Shout out to David. He was tremendous. Not only did he take care of me and all my wheelchair needs and mobility needs, but he was also a big part of the community. All the wheelchair users knew him, and he came to our skiing events, and he donated his time. He just really was a part of our lives, and that just stuck out to me. And we were having a conversation one day, and he's like, "Have you ever considered working for New Motion?" And I said, "No, what would I do? I don't even know what that would look like." He said, "Well, we love having end users, and we think it would, I think you'd love it." And that was the seed. And I started looking for jobs back east because we wanted to move back closer to family and get married and start a family. And a position opened in Chattanooga, which then led to the SAM program opening which then led to me relocating to North Carolina. And here I
Yeah.
am now, a part
Yeah.
of the Employee
And
Consumer
then,
Council and doing podcasts
yeah,
with
yeah.
Karen Roy. This is it.
Yay. Yeah. That's how we got to be friends originally, was through the Employee Consumer Council, which is a council that we had put together that was all wheelchair users within the company. And we could see lots of things that could use improvement from our perspective. And I was like, you know what? All of this knowledge that's already internal to New Motion could be helping our customers. And Warren would, and I feel like we hit it off right away. He minces no words. He's always got something really like tooting your horn a lot, like something really intelligent, insightful to say, and he's not shy about it. And neither am I. And so, yeah, so we clicked then. Then COVID hit. We probably would have met in person much earlier, but beginning of 2020, everything shut down. So at some point, I told Warren, look, the blogs, I want to provide valuable information for our customers, for ATPs, for therapists, for anyone who wants to know more about complex rehab or just life in a wheelchair. And I was like, I think I'm going to change the format to podcasting. And I was like, I really need to haven't done anything really fun or interesting lately because of COVID. So I was like, what could I do? And he said, well, do you want to go skydiving? And I immediately said, yeah, let's do that. Okay. In theory, being far away, I was like all about it. And then got a little closer, and I would text him and call him.
So
it's really safe, right?
Like communication definitely increased as the date approached.
I was praying for a rainy weekend. I was like, how could I not chicken out and still not do this? But I'm not one to once I've committed, I don't back out. I'm not. So again, Warren has done it. So I tell people all the time, I'm like, yeah, my friend Warren, he's been adaptive skydiving hundreds and hundreds of times. I was like, he did get paralyzed skydiving also. And they're like,
yeah, that always kind of throws people. And, I think it was 9 months after injury, I did my first jump back. And the home drop zone in West Georgia, it's called Skydive the Farm.
Yeah.
I wasn't on the ground. Obviously, I was jumping. But when I jumped and landed safely, apparently there wasn't a dry eye in the entire airport. Because everybody was just so
that's where we went.
Excited for me and proud of me for getting back on the horse. And I always looked at it as skydiving didn't injure me. Right? Bad luck did, and
it could have happened
if you were
been in a car.
Walking down the street and got hit by a car. Does that mean you never walk down the street again? Does that mean if you were in a car accident, you never drive again? I had a different outlook on it. I was safe.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever really got hurt. I mean, I had some bumps and bruises over the 15 years of doing it.
And you were like a professional.
Yeah, I feel like I was very aware of what I was doing and how to do it safely, and always learning more. So I don't have any resentment towards skydiving as a result of me being a full-time wheelchair user now.
Yeah.
Do I wish it didn't happen? I
think that's a good way to live.
Life would be very different.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I never thought.
But then again, you wouldn't have met your wife, and your life would look
beautiful 2-year-old daughter. You know what?
Yeah.
If you asked me 2 years post injury, I'd probably go back and get a do-over. But now I can't imagine anything better than this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we both have really great jobs, and fulfilling work that is meaningful to us that we might not have. I mean, my whole life would look different. And nobody signs up for it. But I feel the same way because being shot in armed robbery, I was in a parking lot of a blues club, a college kid. But do you not go anywhere anymore, or do you avoid, any place that you feel like for me, I live in Louisiana. Do I never go to the French Quarter again? Of course I'm going. That's fun stuff happens there. Yeah, I'm not gonna quit living. I'm not gonna live in
This
fear
might
because,
sound
because
strange, but I think I would rather check out early, having a full speed life,
yeah,
than to
yeah,
just, play it
yeah,
safe and make it without a scratch to 90. I
I
just life
100%
for me
agree.
is all about
Yeah,
experiences, and I want to experience everything.
yeah. I felt the same way. I mean, I was like, I am 19. I have got a whole lifetime ahead of me. Like, bring it. Like, okay, how do I have babies? I'm so old that I was which by the way, you have a baby just like everyone else has a baby. But, but pre ADA, like college was, just getting to the classrooms and all that kind of stuff was like a huge struggle. And I didn't give two craps. Like I was just like I'm getting this degree, and yes, I'm going to have a job, and I'm going to get married, and I'm going to have kids. And then, because I had them kind of young, now I'm like kind of living, like I've become Miss Wheelchair America at 50, which is advocacy related, and just a bunch of fun stuff. Most of the sports things I've done since I turned 50, and I'll be 53 next month in July. So anyway, so the way that we kind of were using our experience of, I would never have gone to jump out of an airplane if I wasn't friends with Warren Cleary, who had done adaptive skydiving before, who taught me about the parastrap that goes around your legs, that we could like hold my legs up. My big thing was not really even dying, was more like, I don't have time to break an ankle or a foot,
I'm too busy.
So I was like,
for a
how are we
hospital
gonna,
trip.
I'm busy. Yeah. I don't have time for that. So, so he was, told me about the parastrap that would develop there. And this is at the farm outside of Atlanta. Kudos to all you guys. It was amazing. But because they're near Shepherd, and because Warren used to skydive there before and after, they see a lot of paraplegics and quads and people with disabilities, amputees and things like that. So they make it work, and they know what they're doing. So without the mentorship of Warren, I would never have skydived. And so we were talking about jumping outside of your comfort zone. I'll go back. I'll see. There's this quote that 18 million years ago, when we started talking about this, and he said, how do we deal with fear? Do we take it head on without reservation? Do we work with others to glean from their experience and strength? Sometimes both. And I would say, yeah, there was a lot of stuff I had to do. Like I had no mentor. There was no internet. That makes me sound like a freaking 100 years old. But anyway, there was no internet. Like there were no support groups. There was no Facebook. So I had to kind of just, having babies, raising children, learning how to change diapers and all that. I kind of just taught myself. But now we've got anything you want to do. You could probably YouTube it. You can find a group. You can find a person who's probably done it before you. And I
even
think,
if you can't, there's ways to connect with people that are going to help you achieve your goal or get to where you want to be. Taking you skydiving was, such a thrill. I've taken a lot of paraplegics and quadriplegics skydiving post injury, and for me, it's another day at the beach. It's going to the office. Like, all right, yeah, let's go jump out of a plane.
yeah.
But to share that experience with someone for the first time, and go with you and go up and jump out with you and see the look on your face, it's extremely rewarding. And I think even more so when it comes to people with disabilities, because one of the things I hear the most is, I'll ask them after they land, did it feel like what you thought it would feel like? And everybody says, no, it was completely different. I thought it was going to be a pit in my stomach falling feeling, and it wasn't. I just felt like I was flying. And, a couple of weeks go by, and I'll ask them again, like, what do you remember? How did everything go? And so many people say, like, I have been telling everybody I went skydiving, and they're like, you? I could never do that. And, and so I just love putting people that the world sees as not able to do everything, and put them in that realm where all of a sudden they've got one up on everyone else. They're like, oh yeah, I jumped out of a plane. What's wrong with you?
So true. So true. I showed a bunch of people. I just got back from Chicago Abilities Expo. I just showed a bunch of people the video, and I mean, I'm proud. And most of the guys, like, these are grown men that were like, absolutely not. Like, I would never, ever, ever do that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm braver than you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little
Cool
cooler.
factor for sure. Well, in my experience, there's three types of people when it comes to skydiving. Those that'll do it once, those that will never do it, and those that will never stop doing it. I'm in the third category. But,
Yeah.
you know, if people don't want to do it, I
Yes,
don't push people. I don't say they're, you know,
Yeah.
like
I would totally do it again.
One of my jobs, I was helping a young man who worked at a reptile store. This was when I was working for Disability Inc., trying to improve his processes. And his job was to take a water sprayer and spray all the terrariums, all the cages that had the different reptiles in it. That was his job, was to get the humidity to the right temperature. And I spoke to the owner, and I spoke with his family, and I said, all right, I'm going to observe you. I'm going to help you figure out how to do this better. And I start reading all these different things.
Yeah.
Like, one of them is a gaboon viper, which is apparently one of the most deadly snakes in the world. And he's unlocking this terrarium, opening it just an inch or two, sticking his little hydrating wand in there and pumping it and spraying in there. And I'm like, I'm not teaching him how to do anything differently than the way he's already doing. This is insane. Like, that's my thing. I'm not going to mess with snakes and spiders.
Right.
So if someone's like, I don't want to jump out of a plane, I'm like, cool, I get it.
Everybody has their limits.
That's your snake.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not.
There's other stuff I won't do. Yeah.
It's just a cool experience.
Right. Well, so I think that through Shepherd Center and then like Christopher and Dana Reeves Foundation, there's a peer mentor program. Through United Spinal Association, there's another training for peer mentorship. So I will put the links to all of that. And then I also think I have a link to the, it's spinal cord information. There's like 70 or so online support groups that are listed on that resource. So anything that you're thinking about doing, Warren and I have decided that our next adventure will be underwater. Now he's already scuba dived, but it's
been a while.
I'll feel more at ease
after a couple of years. It's probably good to relearn it.
You relearn
with
me.
Just go wing it.
Yeah, and I do have a friend that keeps telling me he retired from the police department and opened a scuba dive shop. And every time he sees me doing something crazy on social media, he's like,
there we go.
Come down to the dive shop next, you know? So that's what we need to plan that. I guess I would like to wrap it up with an announcement. So we mentioned earlier that Warren was married a therapist, not his therapist, but a therapist at a Shepherd Center. And they have a beautiful little girl who is
under 2 years.
Or 2? Just under 2. So, and you got some exciting news the other day, which was
we are pregnant again, which it's so funny. This is my 4th time telling you that. But I do have a new piece of information.
It is,
I found out the gender.
Yes. And he wouldn't tell me pre-show. Right. So for yesterday, I knew he knew. And then he had to share it with some other people first. And then, so today, like first thing we get, I'm like, I think I know what it is. And we decided to save the reveal for the podcast. So can I now I've been wrong. Okay. Many times. I have a really strong feeling that it's a boy.
We are having a baby girl. I'm a girl dad, 100% girl dad. Bring on the pink, bring on the magenta.
I just scared my dog.
I'm in it to win it.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Oh my God. Well, so I don't have a sister, and the really cool thing about that is you already got a bunch of pink
first thoughts I had was
stuff going on, and
buy all this stuff again. And then my best friend was like, but on the back end, you got to pay for 2 weddings now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to need some help.
That's really nice. They're going to be kind of close in age. That's so sweet.
And again, this is
so
one
happy
of those
for y'all.
things
That's exciting.
Without the mentorship of people like you, of people like Pete and Mina Hong and Karen DeVault and James Shepard, who started the mentoring program there, I wouldn't have learned that I could do all these things. And like I said, skydiving to me is just, another, yeah, it's fun. Let's go.
Another day at the office.
Becoming a parent was terrifying. I mean, I'm sure it is for everyone, but add in a disability and it's like, how am I going to make all this work? What happens when she learns to climb a tree? Do I need a shock collar? Like, how do I keep them,
Yeah. Austin, who's here producing the podcast, is 23. So I had my kids, which by the way, like I jumped in, like my first question after being paralyzed was, can I still have children? And they said yes. And I'm like, cool. So, and I did not know how I was going to do it and did not care. I was like, I will figure this out. I'm going to be an amazing mom. I'm going to be better than most able-bodied people.
See, in
I'm
that
going to
respect,
like roll circles around them. Now,
you are
Austin,
more
who's
brave than I am because I mean, I remember post-injury, little things would just terrify me. I sat in the parking lot of grocery stores and just would cry for an hour because I just didn't know how to go in and be normal and face the world like this. And, flash forward 10 years and I've done all these amazing things and met all these amazing people. And now I'm raising a family. And I just can't imagine getting to this point without help from others who have been through these experiences, which is why I'm so passionate about peer mentoring and about people connecting on any media platform. I had a guy the other day that out of nowhere, he's from the United Kingdom. He Facebook messaged me and he's like, hey, are you the skydiving guy? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. He's like, oh, I was going to do that. We started chatting.
Yes, I am.
And we've been like pen pals for the last week. We've been talking almost every day about medical supplies and wheelchair stuff. And do I know anybody in the UK? Like, and it's just so amazing that we can all just connect globally now and help each other get to where we want to be in life.
It's very, very, very exciting. Being in Chicago at the Abilities Expo, I ended up at a lunch table I was one of 5 women, all different ethnicities, all different types of disabilities, all wheelchair users, but all different diagnoses. And 2 of them, one lady that was in Guatemala, barely spoke English, lived in the Chicago area, made friends with these 2 other women who were pretty well established in the disability community in Chicago. But we were all like sharing information and I almost cried. Like I did get a picture of it because it was like so touching to me. That, that's what this community does. Like once you're in it, once you own it, once you decide, once you get over the fact like that you didn't really want to join, but you, and some people are joined at birth. And so they're like, they don't even really get us and, our big transition. They've been dealing with their disability from birth. And so, but for all of us, once you're all in mentally, there's nothing that you can't do, not with the help of your friends. So,
format reaches more people. Hopefully, we can get this out to customers and ATPs and service technicians and coordinators and help people that maybe just don't know there's a whole world of possibilities out there.
Right. And Warren and I are here. So whether you're a part of New Motion or you're not a part of New Motion, you're a customer, you're not a customer, we don't really care. If you have a question, you can reach us, through New Motion. And I have, my social media is Life Possible KR on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you need to get Warren, I'll be glad to share his information as well. And I'm going to put some of these links in the show notes. So, Warren, I am so thankful for your eternal patience. I feel like I've tested it and now you are definitely ready for 2 children. Because if Warren can put up with me and my terrible podcasting skills,
I think the biggest life
of course he
lesson
can raise
I've
2 daughters.
learned living with a disability is patience. You can figure out anything you want to do. It just might take a little longer. And so patience is key.
Yep. And you have helped me too. And patience is key. And I think the same thing. Like we have some superpowers as a result of our disability. And I think that's one of them too. I want to have you on a whole bunch. I feel like we could probably just do like a series, and we can like, now that we have this all like figured out, maybe I could do it without one of my millennial
I'd be
children.
happy to. I'd be honored. I
Babysitting me.
love it. I think this is. I love all of the pro tips I've done a couple that you've inspired us to do, and just getting more info out to people any way we can. Just make the disability community smaller and smaller. You know, bring everyone together.
Yep. I love it. Thank you so much, Warren, and I will see you next time. All right. Bye.